Hello, this is Leo from the Kairos System, and you're watching the Kairos Collaborative. So, over a time online, we've gotten a lot of questions asking about our inner world, so I thought I'd make a dedicated video talking about our headspace and telling you guys what it's like. I can't share everything that I do know, and I don't even know everything about our inner world, but I'm going to tell you as much as I can, and I hope it'll answer some of the questions that you guys have had. So, our headspace has changed over time. For as long as we can remember, we had an area that we would go into in our mind that was this beach. It was like this rainforest shoreline beach. Where we think it came from is this exercise that we had to listen to, like this meditation exercise that one of our caretakers would play for us. It would have you walk down the shoreline, and it would tell you to look behind you and see that your footprints are the only footprints on the beach, and it would remind you that you're safe here. And I think that's where we internalized what would eventually become our headspace. But interestingly enough, whenever our system actually started to communicate with each other, our headspace was really different. In our mind, what we saw it as was a beach house floating through space with nothing around it, and the co-consciousness didn't work as it does now. Now everyone in the inner world is accounted for somewhere at some time. Even if they are inaccessible or cannot recall anything that's going on outside, they are somewhere. Then people would just appear in and out. Sometimes they would be there and sometimes they wouldn't. A really big change happened in our system. It caused a change within our inner world as well. And as a result, our beach house crashed on an actual beach. This beach was the shoreline that we had seen whenever we were a child. Now, the way that we look at this is that beach house, consider that to be our headspace, and the shoreline and the rainforest, we call that our inner world. And we see kind of like a difference between the two because there's a difference in consciousness when we're in either part. And so I wanted to break down some like specific components about that, and I want to start with the actual like headspace part, so our beach house. The way that the beach house works is that there's an upstairs and a downstairs. Downstairs is the living room, the entertainment room, and the kitchen. The kitchen leads to the exit, which goes to the shoreline. And then upstairs is everybody's individual bedrooms. When anyone in the system is upstairs, they're relatively inaccessible to just about everyone, save for a few exceptions. There's one room that's like, belongs to one of our more therapeutic parts that pretty much anyone can enter. And then I share a room with Devin. Some of our rooms connect to in-depth parts of our own inner worlds. Like some of us have accessible backstories that we can still enter into that's accessed through the bedrooms. And again, while people are in the bedrooms, they can't be accessed by any of the other parts, and they don't remember anything that happens in the outer world. There's a part of our upstairs that is a closet that is also like a database for our system and for our memories of trauma and what we've been through. And there's a library, there's like wires that lead through, and it's very dark, it's shrouded in shadows all around, and there's tall shelves full of records and files. And I have access to that, and also some other parts that aren't people that I can mention. Many people in our system don't even know it exists. If they look directly in the area of where it's located, they might start to see it, but as soon as they look away, they start to forget. Or as soon as they stop thinking about it, it sort of escapes their mind. It's like our brain has this intrusive dissociative barrier for most people in our system around the fact that even it exists. But even if they did know it exists, they can't get into it. For example, this is one of the structures that like I only know a limited amount about, and I can't really talk even everything that I do know. But that exists upstairs. And then downstairs pretty much depends on how far the person is from the fireplace. The fireplace, if an altar is fronting, they are sitting in front of the fireplace in our headspace, which is located in the living room. And really the closer a part is to being at the front, the closer they are representatively in our head to the fireplace. So if I'm in front and say Devin was Gokon, he would be sitting visually in our headspace. He would be sitting somewhere around the fireplace. Moving out from the beach house on is the shoreline. Whenever parts are on the shoreline, they can be accessed. They tend to take some sort of like level of meditation or concentration to reach them, and they don't tend to remember as much. And now when I talk about memory transference and if people can remember as much, it also depends on how high the amnesia barriers are between the part that's in front and whoever the other part is. So if I'm in front and Devin isn't, Devin's like upstairs, for example, he would still get a good part of the memories of what I experienced because we have such high memory transfers because our amnesia barriers are so low. But, you know, say even if Sterling was sitting in the living room and I was sitting, which is just behind our fireplace, and I was sitting at the fireplace, even though he's not that far from the fireplace and theoretically he should be able to retain more because our amnesia barriers are so high, he's probably only going to get like a few details here and there. And that, you know, goes for everybody in our system, depending on our own amnesia barriers. So we do have these types of, like, we figured out kind of what the distance means based off of that, like, control being our fireplace, and just what we've learned over time trying to access and communicate with each other. But those aren't like given, hard, set in stone rules. People that are in the forest tend to be really hard to access. You would have to actually send a part to go out looking for them, to track them down, and it can take an extended amount of time. Getting lost in the forest is always a dangerous possibility for our system, and it's not a place that we just let, like, say, littles and more vulnerable parts just wander freely around. It can be a very peaceful sort of experience for our system. It can be a break for us. Like, there are areas of it that are very peaceful and are meant to be meditative. Like, for example, we have a waterfall in the forest that some of the parts like to go to. For example, Bodhi. There's a garden. There's lots of paths and ladders and stairs for exploration. It's supposed to be an enjoyable space, but there are more dangerous aspects of it. Far, far into the forest, there's this cave that a select group of alters within our system originate from that is supposed to represent a lot of the trauma from our primary abuser and a lot of the instability that they caused. Whenever parts that aren't supposed to go near the cave go near there, they've come back being extremely psychologically damaged and hurt, and sometimes we've had parts that have tried to go in there as an act of sort of like self-harm, and we've had to have caretakers take care of those parts and nurse them back to health while they had to work through the types of memories that they had to see while they were in the cave. So it's another area like the database that's representative of the trauma that we've gone through and the amnesia that exists around there, and keeping it separate from the rest of us, I suppose. So I think that's all I know that I can talk about. Recently found a part that was returning from the horizon line on a raft with some sort of product that doesn't naturally occur on our island, seeming to have gotten it from some external source. So there may be more to even our inner world that we don't know about, that this part, who tends to surprise us a lot with stuff like this, does know about. But that's all I can share publicly. So again, I'd like to reiterate that our inner world has changed over time. This isn't how it's always been, and it has become more of a helpful and more of a safe tool for us as the years have gone by. It's changed as our system has changed and as our environment has changed. I firmly do believe that anybody can change their inner world if they need to and if they try to, but it's nothing that you should feel bad about if it's not coming to you immediately, because that's not necessarily how it works for everyone. Sometimes you have to put in a lot of meditative effort to get something like this to change, because it's something that your mind built over a period of extended time and trauma. For a lot of people, sometimes it's something that you build on your own if you don't have one naturally, later on in a safe space. It's possible to change it, I believe. I hope that answered some of the questions that you have. If you do have any more questions, you can comment them, and if I can answer them, I definitely will. And if you'd like to tell me about your inner world, please do. I am open to hearing about what you're able or willing to share. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like. Feel free to follow us on all of our social medias. We recently opened a Patreon, so if you'd like to go check that out, we're going to be releasing some exclusive content over the next month regarding our new project. That's very exciting. Can't say anything about it other than we got a new project, so I mean, unless you're a Patreon, then you know all about it, because then you practically run our channel. So this was a fun topic. I enjoyed talking about it. Leave your comments, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.